morning, fourth grade. Oh, this is just gonna be weird. This is Miss Brooks. This is nope. About elapsed time. I hate that. Nope. All right, good morning, fourth grade. Welcome to online learning. Welcome to my dining room where we are going to be learning about elapsed time. This is the first time I've ever recorded a lesson of myself, so this is weird for me. I know it's weird for y'all, but I'm excited that I get to do this in some way, because I really would like to still continue to teach you guys rather than letting some videos from people that I don't know on the internet teaching you lessons. So I'm gonna do my best to make this work. But I am here today to teach you about elapsed time. Elapsed time is elapsed time is the time it takes from the start to the end of something. Elapsed time is just like the time it took, is basically kind of what that means. Okay, I completely forgot to tell you guys about examples of elapsed time. So sorry about that, so I'm just gonna like interject here. Yes, I said elapsed time is how long something took, how long it lasts is probably a better way to say that. As I watched again, I was like, probably lasts. But it's how long something lasts. And that's something that we use all the time, like without even really like thinking about it sometimes. Like we use elapsed time when we cook. When we're like, all right, so I'm putting in the pizza at 6 o'clock and it's gonna take 18 minutes to cook. That means it'll be ready at 6:18, and I know that in advance, because I know that if it starts here and it takes this long, then I know it's gonna end at this time. Another thing you could do is, like, you know, if you were trying to hang out with a friend after, you know, your sports game or whatever, you went to like a softball game and you had a softball game at 5 and you knew it was gonna last 1 hour. You could say, all right, I'll be home at 6. We can do something after 6. Or if you, if you wanted to do something, you could plan that out. You could also, it also comes in handy with things like, I guess like just anything that takes time, to do. If you have to get ready in the morning, like knowing that you need to be up, if you got to be at school at 7:30, like, or 7:25 or, whatever it is, then and it takes you 20 minutes to get ready, you know that. You're like, I can't get ready any faster than 20 minutes because I need time to, you know, eat, brush my teeth, get dressed, all that good stuff. Your parents or your alarm clock or whoever wakes you up at a certain time so that you have enough time to get ready for school. Without knowledge of elapsed time, you wouldn't be able to do that. So you're using it in lots of different ways already, probably. But yeah, I just want to interject some important ways that we actually use elapsed time and why it is so important to learn. It's important to know why we learn the things we learn. I'm not wasting your time. It's not my goal. I want these things to be helpful for you. And so there's a little interjection about some real world examples of elapsed time. But back to the other video. And so we're going to talk about the 3 main components of elapsed time. And the 3 main components are the start time, elapsed time, and end time. We need all 3 of those parts in the problem, or that's like the 3 components that you would find, the 3 parts. So we're gonna practice kind of identifying those by looking at some problems. Some of them are easier than others. Some of them make it really obvious, some of them don't. But the reason that I really wanted to focus on this is because this is a thing that a lot of people can get kind of tripped up on. When we start doing elapsed time problems, we tend to a lot of us can get going really, really fast. We're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna and we do the whole thing, and we find out that we didn't go backwards in time like we should have, or we didn't, hop forward in time. Or I said the answer was 3:30, and it was looking for how long it took, and 3:30 isn't the amount of time it took. 3:30 is like an end time or a start time. So I think it's really important that we focus on those parts and knowing what they are, so that when we read problems, we're like looking for those and making sure that we're solving for the correct thing, because to do a bunch of work and solve for the wrong thing is a waste of our time. So we're gonna look at this first problem here. It says Leo records his sister's piano recital. The recital starts at 1:15 p.m. and lasts 1 hour and 20 minutes. What time does the recital end? Okay, so this is one where it's kind of nice because it starts off with something it's like it says it in the problem more obviously than others. It says the piano recital starts at 1:15. So I'm gonna take this little like chart thing down here and I'm gonna write in 1:15 because I know that now based on the problem. After reading it, I know it starts at 1:15 p.m. I'm gonna write down p.m. because it's super important that I pay attention to that, because that will come into play in a couple problems, whether when you're going from a.m. to p.m. Okay, and then it says that it lasts 1 hour and 20 minutes. So that means we're gonna be putting my elapsed time right in there is 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's how long it lasts. That's that time in between that start time and end time. It lasts 1 hour and 20 minutes. And so I'll put that right in the middle as well. And then I'm gonna put a question mark in that last box to signify that that's what I'm gonna find. I'm trying to find the end time, okay? This is so important, and this is so crucial to understanding the problem, because then when you actually solve the problem and you get to the end and you get, 10:15 a.m., you can be like, well, something is probably off because I started at p.m. and I'm going forward in time, so I wouldn't get back to 10:15 a.m. And so it's just kind of a good, gives you kind of a general idea of what's happening in the problem set. When you get the answer, you can check, does this even make sense? We talked a lot about that this year, does my answer, is this even logical? It's important that we kind of always keep that in our mind, does this make sense? The next problem says, if football practice starts at 3:10 p.m. and ends at 5:15 p.m., how long does practice last? And again, I have those bubbles drawn out. So again, I'm going to read it. It says, if football practice starts at 3:10 p.m. So again, it gives us that really good keyword of just it starts. And so I can fill that in 3:10 p.m. Okay, so I'm gonna write p.m. again, because again, that might come in handy, or it'll be important sometimes in certain problems, especially when it switches from a.m. to p.m. But yeah, so it ends at 5:15, and again, it uses that nice keyword. It won't always do that, but a lot of problems will, where it says it ends at 5:15, and so I can put 5:15 right into my end time, okay? And then that means the thing that I'm left with, the thing that I'm trying to find, is how long does practice last, which is my elapsed time, that in-between time. Okay, this tells me now that when I find my answer is gonna be in hours and minutes. If I solve this problem and I find out that my problem is, 5:45 p.m., I'm not solving the correct problem. This problem is looking for that in between, that minutes and hours of how long something lasts. It's not looking for a specific time, it's looking for how long something lasts. The last problem we have, and I'm gonna read it, says, James rides the train from Lakeside to Kingston. The train ride lasts 18 minutes. If the train arrives in Kingston at 3:35 p.m., what time did the train ride start? Okay. There it is if you wanted to read it and see it again. So again, it says James rides the train from Lakeside to Kingston. The train ride lasts 18 minutes. That word last, how long it lasts, that's my elapsed time. Typically when I see that word, I can be confident that they're talking about an elapsed time. So I'm gonna write in 18 minutes into that elapsed time spot. Now it says, if the train arrives in Kingston at 3:35 p.m., what time did the train ride start? So we're looking at what time, the question says, what time did the train ride start? So that again is it's got that start word in there. Again, it'll happen a lot where it says start and end, but not always. And so we just got to kind of keep our minds, be proactive as we're looking at problems. We don't want to just assume that it's going to tell us start and end. We want to be thinking actively about does that make sense? So my start time is unknown, and the end time is the arrival of the train. So it's not when it arrived to pick us up, it's when it arrived at our final location. And so that's really important to notice too, is it's not arriving to pick us up, it's arriving at the final destination. So I'm gonna write in 3:35 at the end, 3:35 p.m., making sure that I actually write that p.m. And then its start is the unknown, okay? And so as we continue in the next video, I'll talk more about how we actually solve once we have the missing piece and we know the information that we do have and we have the missing piece, how we actually go about solving those problems. I'll go through all of that. But for now, the important part was just understanding those 3 main parts of the problem. I think, yeah, I think that this is extremely important to understand first before we even dive in to solving problems, because I want to make sure we have that base understanding so we can stop those misconceptions, so we can stop all of that, those silly mistakes, and prevent them from even happening in the first place. But 4th grade, I miss you. I love you. I hope you guys are having fun at home. Hope you're hanging out in your PJs all day and relaxing and enjoying life. I hope you all are staying healthy. And yeah, yeah. I love you all. Bye.